Right into coaching changes, unless I got anything else to say.
No.
As we mentioned earlier, 2 major coaching changes, and really 1 coaching change and 1 new coach coming in. Greg Vanney leaving Toronto. We talked about it a little bit last week, to go all the way across country to take over at LA Galaxy. GBS is gone, was gone mid-season. Has a lot to do, a lot of work to do for a Galaxy team that was subpar at best last year, and now is missing potentially their biggest player. Now, there is still rumor that he comes back, Christian Pavone.
We thought we were talking about Dos Santos.
I thought we were talking about Chicharito.
Chicharito's still there, and he's going to score 15 goals this year. Stop it. So Pavone might be gone, might be back. We don't know. It's still up in the air. There have been transfers in and out, and we'll talk about those when we get there, but he's got a lot to do. And my question for you lot is threefold, really. What type of success are we looking at with the transfers that we've already seen? Can he fix that awful back line that we saw last season? And if Pavone doesn't come back, can he get the best out of Chicharito Hernandez? Connor, this one's to you. All 3 of them.
I think it's a lot of are they going to do more in the window, while it's still open? Are they going to bring in more people? Because if you give me the team that they have right now, and I guess that's assuming Pavone doesn't come back, I don't see how he can get too much success out of this team. I mean, and it's nothing against him. It's hard for him to, do great things with a team that has limited talent. So I think that if they don't make some more changes, he's not going to be able to fix the back line. He's not going to be able to get that much success. But I do think that without Pavone on the team, he would get probably more out of Chicharito, because he would have to, just because, I mean, he would have to be their scoring guy. I mean, there's no one else you can rely on. You can't rely on Pavone while Chicharito's not performing if there is no Pavone.
Adam, what do you think?
Define what you think success looks like. So Greg Vanney's not coming in, and this is no disrespect to, let's say, Vancouver. So if he comes into a Vancouver team that's probably going to struggle again this season at the moment, and just improves on whatever they did last season, I would say, that's successful. But theoretically, this is the Galaxy. The Galaxy are supposed to be a team in the MLS with the biggest transfer budget, the best, superstar players, and they just don't have it. So yes, I think he'll come in and improve on how they did last year, Pavone or no Pavone. So Pavone comes in, obviously you have a very good attacking talent that you can then work with. If he doesn't, I think he's a good enough coach that he can make the most of it. But I don't think Galaxy fans would necessarily be super thrilled with just taking a step forward. I think that fan base has bigger expectations of, we need to be back, like LAFC is pushing MLS Cup every year.
So for me, I like how you phrased it, define success, right? Because as we mentioned last week, there's a lot of different ways that you can define the idea of success, define being a good team, right? And I also want to build off. So first of all, do they make the playoffs this year? That's my first question. That's what I define success as right now, because they missed it. That is not LA Galaxy standard. Will they get there? Real quick, yes or no? I don't need a full explanation. Just what do you think?
If they do, they barely sneak in.
Connor?
I think based on what they have right now at this moment, no.
I agree with you, Connor. I think if Pavone leaves, there are 2 things that I factor into this, right? If Pavone leaves, that's 11 of your, let me just check the number here. 11 of your 27 goals you scored last year, gone. That's almost half, right? Plus he had like 3 or 4 assists. So you basically half of your goal contributions are gone, not really replaced. And something that Adam said when he was talking about this, how he is a good enough team to or a good enough coach to make the best of it. This is a completely different style of play he's coming into than where he left TFC. TFC was very methodical, very high press, very win the ball in certain different areas and go forward with it. Where LA is all about the big names, the firepower, the flair, a whole bunch of different things that I think he might struggle with it because it's just not what he's used to. He's used to having Giovinco dribbling entire defenses and putting it away, but also having players like Michael Bradley and Marky Delgado and a back five and a whole defense around it where he can do that. Where he's got so many holes he's got to fill. I think the start of the season is either going to be phenomenal or very, very bad. And it's just a matter of which way it goes. But right now I have to agree with the way that other teams either already are or have gotten better. I have to think they're going to struggle. But that's just me. On the other, luckily, Texas finally has a team. Austin is coming into their first season because Houston was so bad we didn't really count them, did we? So you've got Houston and now Austin. All right, I probably should make a disclaimer for people who are listening. I understand FC Dallas is a team. I just don't believe they actually play games. I don't watch them, so I don't believe it. So Austin coming in, and Josh Wolff comes in as their first coach. U.S. men's national team assistant in 2019, all the way up until he becomes now a full-time boss in 2021. He learned. I'm assuming he's learned a ton under Mr. Greg with 7 Gs, and I'm assuming he's going to try and implement that here, and you can kind of see a foundation of people who know how to play in this league. You see their team being built around people who have been in the league, understand how to win in this league. So same type of question. What type of success are we looking at in this expansion team's first year under Josh Wolff? Connor.
It's going to probably depend on the person as to what level of success that they expect to see with this team.
Mm.
I mean, on paper, the team that they've built certainly looks like a team that can compete. I don't think that like many fans are going to be expecting them to go and like win Supporter Shield, win MLS Cup in the first year. But I think that they're hoping that they can at least, at the bare minimum, challenge for the playoffs. I think that many will be expecting them to make the playoffs. And then, obviously like a good run in the playoffs would just be adding even more to it and just making it better. So I think that they can set some pretty good expectations for themselves, but I don't think that they should do I don't think that they should make too many trying to think of the right word, overzealous expectations. Like they should still be realistic. It's their first year and everything.
Interesting. I guess let me rephrase it to a way that we did it in season 1. And in season 1, we had 2. Are they going to be in Atlanta or are they going to be in Minnesota? But after last season, I think we do have to throw in a third option there. Are they going to be in Nashville? A team that builds an all right roster and has a great system to win games. Adam, your thoughts?
I don't know. Looking at the guys they brought in that have been in and around the league, I think it kind of reminds me of like the early roster Miami vibes, where you look at the experience they brought in. So like Nick Lima, Matt Beasler are picks. Like Danny Hosen, I love. Alex Ring's obviously the huge one. And obviously Ben Sweat's now in Austin. So like you look at the experience and say they should know the league. They should know what it takes to do well. A lot of the new guys that have come in, I haven't seen them play. So as is the case with, every expansion team, it's how quickly can they, get used to playing with each other. How depends on the season schedule, because assuming the normal schedule, you have a game every 3 days, some weeks, which is a lot. But no, I'm excited for Austin. Everything I kind of see about the way their stadium's been built and the kind of mentality around the club looks like they, and I again, I'm going to use the same analogy from the LAFC documentary, but like, I think that's the kind of planning and forethought that they kind of had going into this first season. So I'm excited to see them play. I'll definitely be watching that first game.
Personally, myself, and actually, Connor, just real quick, because you gave your explanation, but Atlanta, Minnesota, Nashville, what type of team are we looking at here?
I want to say I don't think they fit any of those perfectly, but I want to say that they're maybe a little bit more. To me, they're kind of in between like an Atlanta and a Nashville. Like I think that they have majority of their team is guys that have been in the league before. It's not too many like Atlanta brought in a bunch of international guys that I think didn't play in the league before, and I think that Austin has a couple of those guys that they can be like their star players, like Pochettino or Dominguez. But I think that because majority of their team is, like MLS, I don't want to say veterans, but players from the league, they're kind of like a bit of Nashville and a bit of Atlanta.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I completely agree. I think they've got a really strong center core, which is what we saw a lot with Nashville last year, right? With Dax and with Walker, and that whole spine looked really good outside of maybe their attackers, which they improved upon. But they also have that taste of Argentinian international flair up top. Me personally, I don't think I can describe how hyped I am to watch this team. And I just hope Josh Wolff gets it right.